Okay, let's take a look at exercise 8-16. This is on page 530 of your text. We're going to be doing some accounting for petty cash transactions and recording the journal entries to replenish petty cash. So we're looking at Karen's Dance Studio. They created a $370 petty cash fund, and during the month, the custodian authorized and signed petty cash tickets as follows. And they list 5 tickets, describe what they're for, and what the amount is. All right. So the first thing they're asking is for us to make the journal entry to create the petty cash fund and include an explanation. Okay, so they didn't give us dates, so we can just leave those blank. But when we set up the petty cash fund, remember, we're just moving cash from our regular cash account to our petty cash account on our books, and writing a check out to cash, cashing it, and putting it into either the vault or the cash box. So they created one that was $370, so we'll debit petty cash and credit cash for $370, and this was to establish petty cash fund. All right. Then they wanted us to make the journal entry to record the petty cash fund replenishment, and they told us that the cash in the fund right now totals $147. So we need to do that little petty cash fund reconciliation. So we know that our petty cash fund balance should be $370. So we're going to put the petty cash fund balance over here, and it should be $370. Then we're going to total up what the cash on hand is and what the tickets total to. So we'll do our cash on hand, and that's what they said was the $147. So we'll put $147 there. And then we're going to total up all of our tickets. So the tickets are going to be the sum of these items over here. So the 25, 15, 35, the 55, and the 80. So we'll total all those up. 35. And so our tickets total $210. So the total we have accounted for is the sum of those. So we've accounted for $357. All right. So then we're going to take that difference of what we have accounted for and what the balance should be, and that's what we're going to be over or short. So the way this looks, we have accounted for $357, and we should have accounted for $370. That means that we're short $13. Okay, so that's our cash short. All right, then we also need to figure out, well, how much are we actually going to write a check for to put back into petty cash? Well, we know we want $370 in there, and our balance right now is $147. So the difference between those two is what we're actually going to write our check for. Okay, so we're going to write our check for $223. So when we come over here and do our journal entry, we know that that's going to be our credit to cash. So we're going to credit our cash account for that $223. Okay, then we're going to come over here and we're going to record all of our expenses. So over here they told us what the account is to be debited already, so we know we're going to debit delivery expense for $25. We're going to debit postage expense $15, debit printing expense $35, debit miscellaneous expense for $55. And then remember that difference that we calculated was our cash short, and that's going to go right here. And then we know that we were short, so when we're short, we're going to debit that cash short over account. And then if we were over, we would be crediting that account. So we're going to debit that cash short or over for the 13. So our debits and credits balance, because our debits total, let's see, 100 and should be 100. Let's see, we're missing one. Can't forget that office supplies. So we'll also be debiting our office supplies account for $80. Okay, so that's a check. Remember, our debits and credits should always equal. So when we sum those up, our debits total $223, and so do our credits. Okay, and this was to replenish the petty cash fund. All right, so there's our first two journal entries. Then the last one says, assume that Karen's dance studio decides to decrease the petty cash fund to $200, and they want us to make the general journal entry to record this decrease. So in the last example, we did an increase in the petty cash fund. So that was just like we would establish it, we debit petty cash and credit cash. So the same thing's going to happen if we decide to decrease it. So they're decreasing it to $200. So right now our fund is $370. So we're going to take $370 minus $200. So $170 is going to be our change in our petty cash. So all we're going to do is we're going to take it out of our petty cash fund and put it back in our cash account at the bank. So we're just going to debit cash and credit that petty cash fund. Okay, and this was to reduce petty cash fund balance. All right, so if you guys have any questions over this problem, please post your questions to the Chapter 8 questions discussion board or send me an email.